gross domestic product, President Bola Tinubu welcomes development, assures Nigerians of stronger economic performance. Steps towards addressing food security gains upward trend as 90 million fertilizers get to farmers.
Through this program, we have witnessed a revival of our domestic fertilizer blending plans, an increase in the diversity of products available to our farmers.
Meanwhile, anxiety mounts as flood ravages farmlands and communities in some parts of the country.
We just saw rain coming, water coming out, flowing from the west. There was a river behind it, so it overflowed all the farm. We have to leave it. There was nothing we can do during that time. Whatever, the only thing you can see is just to see water.
Plus, National Intelligence Agency and Department of State Services get new heads. Thank you for tuning to the Network News this rainy Monday. I'm Naja Atutejani. Tonight, Adiola Komiakeri joins us from Lagos. I also have two gentlemen, two experts in the studio to put some of our reports in perspective. You'll get to know who they are in the course of the bulletin. But Professor Uche Owaleke, what's your reaction to the report on Nigeria's GDP growth?
The GDP growth rate is still weak, but it showed an improvement over the previous quarter from 2.98% to 3.19%, and one can only hope that this trajectory continues.
So we look forward to details. And Dr. Afiz Ogun, how is the Skill Up Artisans program progressing?
Well, this is a good opportunity to tell Nigerians that we have started the Skill Up Artisans. As I speak with you, 24,000 intending artisans have been deployed to about 400 training centers in Nigeria, both governmental and privately owned training centers.
Well, we look forward to the details as well. And as usual, business news and live sports action with Bade Adeleye later in the bulletin. This broadcast is being streamed live on our website, nta.ng/live, on our YouTube channel, NTA News. And do follow us across social media for news on the go. And now the news in detail. Nigeria's gross domestic product has grown by 3.19% year-on-year in real terms in the second quarter of 2024. Figures released Monday morning by the National Bureau of Statistics indicate that the GDP growth is higher than the 2.98% recorded in the first quarter of 2024 and higher than the 2.51% of the second quarter of 2023. The performance of the GDP in the second quarter of 2024 was driven by the services sector, which recorded a growth of 3.79%. Agriculture sector grew by 1.41%, while the industry sector grew by 3.53%, an improvement from minus 1.94% recorded in the second quarter of 2023. And in the quarter under review, aggregate GDP at basic price stands at 60,930,058 kobo in nominal terms, rather. This performance is higher when compared to the second quarter of 2023, which recorded an aggregate GDP of 52,103,027 and 30.13, indicating a year-on-year nominal growth of 16.94%. And now the National Bureau of Statistics just reported a 3.2% year-on-year growth in real GDP for the second quarter. What does this mean for the country? And what factors? Now, I have an expert in-house, Professor Owaleke, who you saw earlier, to tell us more about this. Thank you for joining NTA News, Professor.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Now, what factors do you attribute to this growth, and how does it reflect on the present administration's economic policies?
Well, I think the major factor, if you look at the numbers, is the oil sector. The oil sector grew by 10.15% compared to 5.57% in the previous quarter. And that's driven, in my view, largely by favorable oil prices during the period. Because if you noticed, the oil production dropped marginally from what it was in the previous quarter, 1.57 million barrels per day to 1.4 million barrels per day. So the oil sector accounted for that largely. But we also know that agri sector improved. Agri sector grew by considerably, 0.18% in quarter one to 1.41% in quarter two. I think that is significant. And of course, one cannot disconnect that from some of the measures the government have taken in the agri space, especially during that quarter.
And now it's interesting, though, that you, sorry to cut you there, Professor, because you did mention agriculture, and this is quickly related, because the report comes after a decline in food and headline inflation. So how do you see these indicators making an impact on Nigeria's economic trajectory, to add to what you're saying?
Yes, of course, the more we continue to improve on food production, I always say that food security, the agri sector is more like the silver bullet. If you improve on food production, improve on food GDP, we expect that will also translate to lower inflation rates, given that the pressure points with respect to inflation in Nigeria today is food. The MBS reports are very clear on that, for us to be able to tame inflation, we need to tackle food, because if you look at it, the recent number they released, that 3.4% inflation rate, the food was accounting for over 17%. So the increase we have seen in the food GDP, agri GDP, will rub off positively on food inflation, and of course reduce the inflation level. So I see that as a very positive development.
So it remains for, of course, the experts and Nigerians to watch and see what happens. Thank you very much, Professor. Professor Waleke is the Director of Capital Markets Department at the Nasarawa State University. Thank you for offering this insight.
My pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
And still on the matter, President Bola Tinubu welcomes the latest report by the National Bureau of Statistics on the state of the economy as the country's gross national domestic product posts another growth. The real GDP grew by 3.2% year-on-year in the second quarter, higher than the 2.51 recorded in the same of 2023. And a statement by the Presidential Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, indicates that after another report on declining food and headline inflation, this latest report affirms that the economy is on the right trajectory and is indeed on the path to recovery, reiterating the administration's dedication to rekindling hope and confidence in Nigerians. The President gives assurance of working to build a solid and resilient economy. President Tinubu urges Nigerians to retain their faith in government and not allow themselves to be swayed by naysayers intent on aborting and undermining the current reforms for their selfish ends. And now we'll join Musa Abubakar for more on the Business Circle. Musa?
Thank you, Naja. Let's begin with business. Oil prices rose by about 3% on Monday as investors focus on supply concerns after reports of escalating conflict in the Middle East, as well as production cuts in Libya. Brent crude futures climbed to $13 or 2.7% to $81.15 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas crude futures were at $77.20 a barrel, up $2.32 or 3.1%. Both benchmark had gained more than 2% on Friday. And at the equities market, and the first weekday of trading on a bullish note, reflecting boost in investor confidence coming on the back of latest GDP figures and speech by the U.S. Reserve Chair to cut inflation. The all-share index increased 0.07% to close at 96,037.28 points. At the end of the session, a total of 390 million shares in 9,242 deals corresponding to a market value of 3.8 billion naira were traded. Today's activity shows 19% improvement in volume, 16 decline in turnover, but 26 improvement in deals. Market capitalization advanced to 55.2 trillion naira. Veristas Capital Assurance recorded the highest volume of 67.3 million traded shares, followed by Japan Gold and Ventures, as well as FCMB Group and Prestige Assurance Company. But that's a quick look at business. Nigeria is back to you.
Thank you, Musa. And closely related to business, giving them skills, Skill Up Artisans, one of the federal government initiatives to empower and equip artisans with requisite skills and knowledge necessary to improve their craft and increase productivity, is also expected to enhance and help in business development certification of participants. It's also expected to provide jobs, community development, and opportunities for networking. Objectives of the program include elevating the skills of the target group and making them gain formal recognition. How far has the program gone, and what is its impact on the target group? Well, the Director General of the Initial Training Fund, Dr. Afiz Oluwatoyin-Ogun, is with us in the studio to answer some of these questions. Thank you for joining NTA News, sir.
Thank you for having me in the program.
Now, earlier on, you did give us a teaser about this. What specific strategies will the ITF be implementing to address the current skills gap in Nigeria's workforce, particularly in emerging industries like technology and digital services?
Well, we are very, very lucky to have the type of man we have at the helm of affairs in Nigeria, who looked at the skill gap by himself. It is not an easy thing for the man on top to see this. And a call on ITF to skill up Nigerian artisans. That has been given to us. That has started. Everyone has seen it. And as I told you earlier in the teaser, we have deployed the foundation trainee to about 400 plus training centers in Nigeria.
400 training plus centers. That means the ITF is collaborating with educational institutions and private sector organizations to ensure that the program aligns with industry demands. So what lessons have been learned over the years, and how will these lessons impact future plans?
Well, lots of lessons have been learned. In the past, after trainings have been happening in Nigeria. But this time is quite different. In the past, people come in and they leave. Go back to what they used to do. Get startup pack, sell it. But this time around, it is completely different. What we are doing this time, we train you, not just locally, we train you up to international, the artisans and the intended artisans to international standard. We certify the artisans. Then we give them licenses. When we say certification, we are not just doing it alone. We have collaborated with international partners like City and Guild, ABEQ, and Person, and a host of others. The artisans this time, they are enjoying the training because they now have hope that something will come out of this training. At the end of their training, we are not just going to leave them. We have 3 exits for them, 3 superb exits that the president has lined up for them. And it is going to happen, and they can see it. that there is a bright light at the end of the tunnel.
And speaking of hope and inclusion, will marginalized groups such as people with special needs and women and youth have the same opportunities?
Of course, they do. We have lots of youth organizations. We are with the Minister of State for Youth and various organizations for the special need. I don't like calling them special need. I call them people of determination, because they are determined to do what you and I do, despite their condition. I mingle with them. Just last week, I was with one of the groups when we were talking about training them on a very, very fantastic 21st century system of farming, hydroponics, and they are very excited. And we are starting as soon as next week. We have their representative with us we are training the trainers who will go back to them and train them. These are the people actually working with them.
So how is the ITF keeping track of all these programs? How is the ITF keeping track, and what key performance indicators will be used to measure success?
Thank you very much. We have a portal where all the artisans and intending artisans register. They are registered. We are supposed to upskill 5 million artisans every year, but we are taking it bit by bit in phases, 100,000 at a time. Now, we have gone to the 109 senatorial districts of Nigeria to screen the artisans we have registered. After training, then we posted them to the various training centers that we have accredited, because we sent out our assessors from ITF to the training centers that register with us, and they have gone out to assess them, find them about 800 and plus qualified. We are going to use them, but we have now got started with about 400 of them. And we monitor. We also have monitoring group. I myself have not really sat down. I have been moving up and down, because I will not just leave it for just my staff alone. I have to be on the field, and I've been on the field too, monitoring the progress.
Thank you very much. I've been speaking with the Director General of the Industrial Training Fund, Dr. Oluwatoyin Ogun. Thank you very much for offering insights and for giving us this challenge that we should call people, not people with special needs, but people who are determined. Thank you for that, sir.
Thank you very much.
A partnership between the Renewed Hope Initiative, National Population Commission, and United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, is underway to boost birth registration in the country with a commemorative launch of civil registration and vital statistics. The NPC chairman, Nasir Isa Kwara, made this known after being development partners to the office of Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, saying the commemorative event scheduled for August 29, 2024 will mark a major leap in government's effort to offer Nigerian children their first foundational identity.
Event with the First Lady championing this drive. We had a chat with her, and it was a very, very fruitful discussion, and I want to believe that we're going to have a great event ahead of us, and that will mark the full force drive of birth registration to give our children, Nigerian children, first foundational identity and recognition as our children, and have access to government services, especially education and health.
And what is critical is we have been falling short in terms of reaching that obligation. The Office of the First Lady, through the Renewed Hope Initiative, is a platform that we are now using to make sure that every child's birth in Nigeria, starting on the 29th, which is basically the D-Day for the commencement of the renewed initiative project to accelerate birth registration in all parts of the Federation.
That was the Chairman, National Population Commission, Nasir Isa Kwara, and other stakeholders and partners speaking about a commemorative event happening August 29. You are watching the network news on NTA. A total of 12 billion naira out of 19 billion naira trapped in private organizations and civil society groups recovered. Details after some messages. There are new sheriffs in town. President Bola Tinubu has approved the appointment of new Directors General of the National Intelligence Agency and the Department of State Services. Ambassador Mohammed is the new Director General of the NIA, while Adeola Oluwatosin Ajayi is the new Director General of the DSS. Ambassador Mohammed has had an illustrious career in the Foreign Service since joining the NIA in 1995. He served in various roles, culminating in his promotion to the rank of Director and his subsequent appointment as head of the Nigerian mission to Libya. The 1990 graduate of Bayero University, Kano, has served in North Korea, Pakistan, Sudan, and at the State House in Abuja. The new DSS Director General, Adeola Ajayi, rose through the ranks to attain his current post of Assistant Director General of the service. At various times, he served as a State Director in Bauchi, Enugu, Bayelsa, Rivers and Kogi states. The new appointments follow the resignation of the previous NIA and DSS chiefs. President Tinubu expects the new security chiefs to work assiduously to reposition the two intelligence agencies for better results, and he charges them to bring their experience to bear in tackling the security challenges bedeviling the country through enhanced collaboration with sister agencies and in surgical alignment with the Office of the National Security Advisor. The President thanks the outgoing Directors General of the two pivotal intelligence agencies for their services to the nation, while wishing them success in their future endeavors. The Federal Mortgage Bank says it has recovered a total of 12 billion naira out of the 19 billion naira trapped in private organizations and civil society groups. Boss Sedi Abel Amosu reports that this amount represents 40% deductions from National Housing Fund by the Office of the General of the Federation. This was made known at the 2024 Management Retreat of the Federal Mortgage Bank in Niger State.
Members of the Federal Mortgage Bank and stakeholders are adopting technology as key driver for increased efficiency. This is being achieved through giving priority to automation, with the expectation that service delivery would be top-notch. This is in addition to streaming operations, reducing hitches, and responding swiftly to market demands.
We have realized that the lack of non-adherence to effective project management plan is majorly responsible for some of our current predicaments in the implementation of the core banking bank application and other projects, including the 5-year strategic blueprint. We hope to have a shift in our project implementation approach to derive success across all our undertakings.
Amid the 2023 review, the bank has inaugurated a 7-member recovery tax team to work and recover delinquent loans across the country's geopolitical zones to reduce incidences of non-performing loans.
In these volatile, uncertain, complex and ambiguous times, our ability to adapt, innovate and deliver exceptional values to our customer is more crucial than ever.
And this is with the mission that we want to drive the delivery of accessible and affordable home ownership by providing sustainable liquidity, innovative products and services, and excellent customer service.
Improving efficiency and customer service delivery, transformative experience that propels excellence and remaining competitive and innovative is the goal being pursued. From Niger State, Bossede Ebo Amosu, NTA News.
Niger, we head to Kebbi, Nasarawa State, fine-tuning deliberate pathways to enhance food security in line with the renewed hope enterprise of the present administration dominated a discussion in Karu, Nasarawa State, during a joint review meeting on the implementation of the food system transformation in Nigeria, organized by the Federal Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning. Christy Ayagwa reports.
This is a critical turning point in the drive of the federal government towards combating food insecurity and malnutrition for all Nigerians, as stakeholders leverage the opportunities through this gathering, courtesy of Federal Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning, which is aimed at reviewing the status of the implementation of the strategy for the food system.
The time you are done with reviewing that strategy, policies are not passed through. You will want to know whether you want to review up or review down. You come up with further recommendations.
We believe that we will be able to put whatever we have in our mind on the table so that it can be assessed, it can be evaluated.
Stakeholders call for accelerated efforts towards building resilient and sustainable food system that can deliver safe, affordable and nutritious food.
Our platform is what we have, and NTA has mobilized its resources and has offered its platforms towards projecting the activities of the pathway.
With over 31.8 million people suffering from acute food insecurity, compounded by malnutrition among women and children, it is evident that our work is far from over.
We are ready to provide the technical assistance that is required.
Engagements such as this with donors and development partners will go a long way in putting not only foods on the table of all Nigerians, but nourishing ones. In Kebbi, Christy Ayagwa Adaji, NTA News.
Still on sustainable food systems, the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority says it has facilitated the production of 90 million NPK fertilizers for farmers through the Presidential Fertilizer Initiative. Musa Abubakar reports that the authority made this known at a stakeholders roundtable in Abuja.
There's a music to the ear that the number of fertilizer blending plants in Nigeria had grown from 4 to more than 80, courtesy of the Presidential Fertilizer Initiative, PFI. This roundtable provided platform for stakeholders to assess the impact of the PFI on boosting local fertilizer production, distribution, as well as enhancing agricultural productivity across the country. With food inflation rates exceeding 30% and widespread concerns about food security, the discussions focus on how the initiative can be further strengthened to stabilize food prices and ensure sustainable agricultural growth.
To date, the PFI has facilitated the production of a staggering 90 million bags of NPK fertilizer. Through this program, we have witnessed a revival of our domestic fertilizer blending plants, an increase in the diversity of products available to our farmers.
As an association, we believe that maximizing cost efficiency will reap benefits of reducing transaction costs with no risks and ultimately reduce the price of the blended fertilizer.
Food fertilizers lead to the production of wholesome foods.
This is part of efforts being made to ensure the sustainability of the program beyond government support by fostering private sector involvement. In Abuja, I am Musa Abubakar, NTA News.
I chatted with Musa earlier, who told me that NPK stands for nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium, essential minerals for plant growth. On the downside, anxiety is mounting among some farming communities in Kano State following recent floods which threaten a bumper harvest. Yahanasu Hassan Barrow, who visited some affected communities in Dawakin Tofa and Tofa local government areas, reports that urgent action needs to be in place to mitigate the impact.
Farmers in Dawakin Tofa and Tofa local government areas of Kano State are reeling from the devastating impact of flooding, which has ravaged their farmlands and resulted in losses worth millions of naira. This is not an isolated incident, as the communities have been battling with flood every rainy season for years. The latest has dashed hopes of a bumper harvest, leaving farmers like Ibrahim in a state of despair, having invested his life savings in his farm. Ibrahim is now faced with the daunting prospect of feeding his family.
We were in the farm working. We just saw rain coming, water coming out, flowing from the west. There was a river behind it, so it overflowed all the farm. We have to leave it. There was nothing we can do during that time. The only thing you can see is just to see water.
The calamity was triggered by the overflow of a nearby dam and its tributaries in Bagwai and River Watari. Records indicate that hundreds of farmlands have been washed away, with crops like maize, rice and tomatoes destroyed. In Kano, Yahana Sahasambaro, NTA News.
Similarly, the dream of having a bumper harvest this year by many farmers in Yamaltu district of Gombe State may have been shattered by flood. Balgum Samari tells us more.
Over 2,000 farmlands are believed to have been destroyed by flooding waters at that Inkwo community of Yamaltu local government area following hours of heavy downpour. The member representing Yamaltu constituency in the Green Chambers, Inwa Garba, sent a team to sympathize with the victims and assess the damage, hoping to forward aid to the relevant authorities.
We have come to assess the level of damage on the farmlands. As you can see, all these are farmlands affected by the flooding.
Affected farmers call for assistance from all and sundry.
I feeling the federal government to come and assist the farmers, consider the situation.
A prediction indicates that such heavy rains will occur in some parts of the country and warns that the anticipated heavy rainfall could lead to overflowing in major cities. Balgum Samari, NTA News.
From Yamaltu in Gombe, we head to Kebbi State, where 65,000 entrepreneurs in the state have been empowered with 100,000 naira each to boost small and medium-scale businesses. Governor Nasir Idris launched the program, demonstrating the state government's commitment to supporting entrepreneurs and stimulating economic development. Correspondent Abdul Jalil Muhammad Bawa reports.
The Kebbi State COVID-19 Action Recovery and Economic Stimulus Program, known as Kebbi Cares, is an initiative of Kebbi State Government to expand access to livelihood, food security services, and provide grants to poor and vulnerable households. Under the program, 65 billion naira has been earmarked to support 65,000 small and medium entrepreneurs with 100,000 each to expand their businesses with a view to boost the state economy and reduce poverty.
This kind of machine that we are using, so I will use this grant to buy a solar one so that I can be able to expand my business.
I'm very, very happy. Thank you so much for the Aurangon.
Governor Nasir Idris, while acknowledging President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's effort in poverty alleviation, says his administration will continue to support small and medium entrepreneurs for job creation and poverty reduction in the state.
Let me emphasize our commitment on ensuring transparency, accountability, efficiency in the implementation of all projects and programs aimed at uplifting the lives of our people.
During the launch, Idris charged the beneficiaries to ensure that the funds are utilized for their intended purpose, urging them to make the most of the opportunity to grow their businesses. In Birnin Kebbi, Abdul Jalil Muhammad Bawa, NTA News.
Adiola is standing by with more reports from our Lagos Network Center.
Thank you, Najatu. Welcome to Lagos. The Nigeria Police Force, CID Alagbon, Lagos, has recovered 2 trucks of tramadol which were hijacked by a syndicate of suspected armed criminals. Bolaji Akim reports that the consignment, valued at more than 200 million naira belongs to a pharmaceutical company in Onitsha.
The drugs imported from India in July last year were cleared at Murtala Muhammed International Airport in Lagos for onward delivery in Onitsha. On getting to the Third Mainland Bridge in Lagos, a suspected criminal syndicate hijacked the truck and diverted to an unknown destination.
Allegedly impersonated officers from the National Drug Law Enforcement Agencies and the military personnel. They hijacked 2 trucks belonging to Manifest Pharmaceutical Company Limited, which was transporting 5,000 rolls of tramadol 8 mg capsules. Further investigation revealed that James Kashmir Asibon, a spy police officer, was involved in escorting the hijacked trucks. Significant progress was made with the arrest of Mbega Innocent, male, whose information led to additional arrests connected to the narcotic substance.
While tramadol is one of the drugs which sales and distribution is placed under strict supervision, the pharmaceutical company claimed to have the import permits.
Every year they will give permit. Before they give you another one, you must report how you sold the other ones. So I didn't say anything.
One of the suspects arrested in connection with the hijacked drugs claimed ignorance. The police said the suspect and the recovered drugs will be handed over to NDLEA at the end of investigation. In Lagos, Bolaji Akim, NTA News.
As of the 24th of August, Nigeria had 40 cases of Mpox confirmed, including Lagos State. Health practitioners say, although there is no specific treatment, only supportive care, preventive measures should be prioritized to control its spread. According to the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, a total of 40 confirmed cases of Mpox out of the 830 suspected cases have been recorded so far in some states across the country. Mpox, formerly referred to as monkeypox, is a virus zoonotic disease that can be transmitted from animal to man and from one person to another.
This rash actually takes about, when it appears, it takes about 2 to 4 weeks before it dries off and then the scab falls off. And the important thing about the rash is that when a person has that rash, no matter the stage, it's still infectious, meaning when another person gets in contact with that rash, infected.
And with Lagos State being one of the affected states, medical practitioners are calling on residents to imbibe proper hygiene, wash hands clean and stay hydrated, while efforts are underway to enhance border patrol for case investigation, contact tracing and community engagement to ensure compliance with preventive measures.
The awareness created around smallpox and also on social media, we tend to see more of any acute medical public health issue here in Lagos and Ogun than some of the other places.
We should try to avoid close contacts with individuals that are showing symptoms of monkeypox without stigmatization. So I'm putting emphasis on that stigmatization because most people obviously want to run away from a person that is showing, that is exhibiting the symptoms. So you can care for them, but also avoid contact without stigmatization.
This public health concern has made the World Health Organization call for more accurate surveillance to control its spread, while vaccines are made available at public health centers. And those are reports from Lagos. The network news will continue after this break with Najati in Abuja.
It's nice to know you're still watching the network news on NTA, and more good news. The federal government is accelerating access to electricity in the country with deployment of mini-grids and solar home systems connecting more than 1 million end users in 1 year. The Managing Director, Rural Electrification Agency, Abba Aliu, while giving a scorecard of the agency's interventions in the last 1 year, said more communities will be connected to bridge the energy gap. Joshua Ojito reports.
With a mandate to providing affordable electricity to areas not covered by the national grid, as well as unserved and underserved communities, Rural Electrification Agency says it is sustaining trajectories top communities. A scorecard of the agency's performance in 2023 shows that more than 330 kilowatt peak of mini-grids have been deployed across the country, with 2,631 solar home system units delivered to communities across the 6 geopolitical zones of the country.
We have secured additional funding of $750 million to start the implementation of the DARE project. The DARE project is the biggest public sector funded project in the off-grid public sector funded project in the entire world. And the target of that project is to electrify 17.5 million Nigerians.
Also, 18,300 solar streetlights have been installed nationwide, covering a distance of more than 500 kilometers. Through its intervention of energizing agriculture and boost irrigation, the Rural Electrification Agency 2023 deployed 1,668 solar water pumps, impacting 24,000 hectares of farmland. Projecting into the future, the agency is poised to drive federal government policy for 30% energy mix, thereby increasing access to electricity through renewables. Joshua Ojito, NTA News.
Still to come, global news, sports update and more right after this timeout. Realizing its strategic vision to be a dynamic and reliable global energy supplier of choice, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited has commenced shipment of liquefied natural gas cargoes to Japan and China on delivered ex-ship basis. A statement by NNPCL says the milestone has been achieved through the collaboration of 2 of its downstream subsidiaries, NNPC LNG Limited and NNPC Shipping Limited, which has fulfilled its first delivered ex-ship LNG cargo from the 174,000 cubic tons LNG vessel in Japan on 27th June 2024. It has also expanded its footprint to China with the delivery of 1 LNG cargo on delivered ex-ship basis. Delivered ex-ship basis is an international commercial term which requires the seller to deliver products or goods at a specific port. The seller takes responsibility for the shipping and insurance for the products or goods until they get to the specified port of delivery. Recent flash floods caused by heavy monsoon rains in Thailand killed 22 people as emergency officials warn of sudden flooding this week. Details and more on Global Update with Francis Udojo.
The Department of Disaster Prevention and Mitigation said 19 others were injured and more than 30,000 households have been affected in 13 provinces over the past 10 days. The department also warned about 31 provinces in the kingdom's north and northeast were facing possible flash floods until Thursday. Officials said the department has ordered local authorities to monitor the weather closely and put teams and equipment on standby. In another development, the Pacific Islands Forum gets underway in Tonga's capital, Nuku'alofa, with leaders hoping to draw global attention to the region's worsening climate plight. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres makes a rare appearance at the summit in a trip designed to highlight the Pacific's myriad climate threats. Meanwhile, Tunisian President Kais Saied has sworn in newly appointed Ministers of Foreign Affairs and Defense after an abrupt reshuffle in which he replaced 19 ministers and 3 state secretaries. The appointment of the new ministers comes after Said sacked former Prime Minister Ahmed in early August and as the North African country readies for presidential elections on October 6. Francis Dojo, NT News.
It's time for live sports news with Bade Adele. Bade, what's happening in the world of sports?
Many thanks, Naja, too. And of course, we've got a bit of not so good news, but we'll talk later about that. Let's begin with golf, as handicap 13 player Shola Adebayo relishes emerging overall winner of captain's inaugural tournament at the IBB International Golf and Country Club, Abuja. Adebayo grossed 76 with a net score of 63 over a field of 400 amateur golfers who competed for honors in different categories.
All I would say is that you just need to be calm and take whatever comes your way, play more golf, and then you can emerge a winner.
The main thing that we promise is that we are going to really rejuvenate the course to its international status.
To tennis now, Olympic gold medalist Novak Djokovic is back in action Tuesday against Moldovan Radu Abor. The 24-time Grand Slam champion is aiming to become the most decorated player in tennis history after he equaled Margaret Court's all-time record earlier at the grandstand. Fourth seed Alexander Zverev recovered from a tight second round to secure a 6-2, 7-6, 6-3, 6-2 victory over Maximilian Matera in the first round. And on a sad note, global tributes continue to pour in for Sven Goran Eriksson after the former England manager died earlier today at 76 years. The Swede, who earlier was diagnosed with cancer, managed England between 2001 and 2006, leading the Lions to quarterfinals of 2002 and 2006 FIFA Men's World Cup and the Euro 2004 Men's Tournament before coaching Mexico, Philippines and Cote d'Ivoire. Eriksson retired as a professional footballer, winning Swedish league title, 2 domestic cups and the 1982 UEFA Super Cup. And of course, that's our beat on sports. It's back to Nigeria too.
Thank you, Badi, and that is indeed a sad loss for the football world. That's network news tonight, but here is a reminder of some reports which made the headlines. Presidential Fertilizer Initiative records 90 million production. Federal government empowers 65,000 entrepreneurs with grants, and several farmlands destroyed with more than 41,000 people displaced by flood in some parts of the northeast. And that's the network news. Thank you for joining us.